Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with a little first impressions of the Benchmade Freek 560BK-1, or much easier to call it what it's become known as, whether Benchmade likes it or not, the Super Freek. The Freek was a very cool knife, or still is a very cool knife. That comes in S30V, and it has these kind of rubberized handles that not everyone was in love with, myself included. That's why I've never reviewed one. Picked one up, held it in a store once, and was like, yeah, I don't care for that, so I never got one. This is much improved with these very pretty G10 handles and an M4 blade, M4 steel. I love M4 steel. I have a Gale Bradley 2 Spyderco, which I actually have right here, and have really come to really like this steel a whole lot. It is a coated blade. That's the only way you can get it. I'll talk more about that in a moment. But it is a snazzy looking knife for certain. It's pretty much the same size as your full-size Griptilian, maybe a little bit thicker handle than that. It does come with the red back spacers, and there is a layer of red G10 on the inside. I was told, which makes me like this knife even more, that it was inspired by Deadpool, which I'm a huge Deadpool fan, so awesome. I could turn the camera around. There's quite a bit of Deadpool memorabilia around my my little man cave / office. I usually call this the full Vader, but it does have some gray, so I guess the Deadpool is a bit more appropriate. But anywho, that's enough comic book stupid crap to talk about. It's a good looking knife. It really, really is. Whether you like the idea of the coating or not, you have to admit it looks pretty good. It looks evil without really being super tactical looking. I really like the look of it. Very, very nice. This is a first production version, 0633 of 1200. I do want to thank one of my viewers. I don't know if he wants to be named, so I'm not going to say it, but I'm thanking him because I know he'll watch it, for letting me get my hands on this for a very reasonable price. They are sold out pretty much everywhere. I was kind of on the fence about getting this, but I really wanted to get one primarily for a comparison review. But the more I waited on it, the more I watched other people's videos about it, the more excited I got about it. My level of excitement was that I opened the box in the car at the post office. I only live like 3 minutes from the post office, so usually I open stuff when I get home. This one I opened in the car because I wanted to see it. Some of the usual Benchmade quality stuff. I've only had this for a few hours. I have not touched it. I've not turned a screw. Centering, dead on. No lock rock, no blade play, none of that stuff. It's a very good example. A little bit sticky on the axis lock, maybe, but that every Benchmade I've had that had that, it went away within a day. Flipping it around and playing with it a day or two. Does not come with a deep carry pocket clip. I kind of wish that it did. Usually on their premium stuff, it always has a deep carry. Luckily, I have a spare one, so I'm going to switch it out. And again, say this on all my Benchmade reviews, if you want a deep carry clip, all you got to do is call them and ask, and they'll mail you one. Super nice people that way. Very much like that about Benchmade. So yeah, let's do a few little stats and a few little size comparisons. Again, this isn't the full review. This is my first impressions. I've literally had this thing for, only several hours. I guess I've had it for, 10 hours, something like that. But I have been flipping it around a lot because, luckily for you guys, bad for me, my back hurts. So I've just been kind of laying around today. I went and got this and need to get this back thing gone away, and the only way to get rid of it is to do nothing. So I'm trying to do nothing today and get rid of it. But I did sit on my couch and flip this knife around quite a bit in recording videos. I've rarely injured my back recording videos. Anywho, you have an overall length of about, I'm just reading these stats off from Blade HQ because I have not done the full review on this yet. When I do the full review, I'll have my actual own measurements. But 8.46 inches overall length, blade length of 3.6, blade thickness. One of the things I really like about this is 0.11 inches. You have a handle thickness of 0.62, so it is a pretty thick handle, and a weight of 4.3 ounces, which isn't a lightweight, but it's not too bad. Talk about this blade, as I said, M4 steel, very similar. And I've said this about the Freek before too, and everybody has, to the Ritter style blade on the old Ritter grips that they don't make anymore, which we'll demonstrate by putting it against one. Yeah, They're pretty similar, aren't they? But in fairness, the handle on the Hogue Ritter is RSK is pretty similar to a Griptilian. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know. They let them make the handle similar. He lets them make the blade similar. I don't know what happened, but I still have no idea what happened in that split. But there definitely, absolutely will be a comparison between these two. That's the primary reason why I got this one. So we will see a full comparison between the Hogue Ritter RSK and the Benchmade Super Freek. That will absolutely be coming up in fairly short order. I'm going to try to get you that by the end of the week. I'm going to carry this pretty much exclusively this week, and just to get a better feel for it, and so I can do that. The full review of this will come out a bit later because a lot of people have already had them. A couple more size comparisons. Let's do the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Pretty similar to that, maybe a little bit bigger, a little taller for sure. What else do I have out here? Because I recorded another review today. Your Ontario Rat Model 1. Yeah, if you line up the pivots, see it's just kind of shifted, but overall it's pretty much the same length. Pretty much same size as a Rat Model 1 from Ontario. Yeah, and one of Benchmade's own. Your 940. It's a much bigger knife than the 940. Only a little bit more in length, but man, in thickness, it's definitely a much thicker knife, for sure. Okay, back to that blade. I like M4 steel a whole lot. They coated it because M4 is not a stainless steel. There's the words I'm trying to get out. I'm stuttering today for some reason. It is not a stainless steel. And they went nanny state on us and coated it so that it wouldn't corrode. Just like Sierra KT recently did with the D2 Pilar Large. I don't like it when companies do that. I can handle it, guys. Look at my, I just had it out here, my Gale Bradley. I've had this thing for a long time. I carried a whole lot. It has not patinaed. It has not rusted. All I did was spray some of this Aegis EDCI on it right after I got it, and it's been fine. I didn't even have that. The first couple months I had this, I didn't even have the EDCI. I just used mineral oil or something, and it was fine. Don't assume that we want all of our non-stainless blades coated. That's always going to annoy me. Does it look cool on this knife? Yes. When it's new. We'll see how it holds up. That's something I have to spend some time with. I have had a couple guys who have a whole lot of Benchmade say that the coating on this is better than previous Benchmade coatings, which I did have another previously a coated Benchmade, and it actually wasn't that bad. I've had a lot worse for sure. And they say this is even better, so maybe it'll be fine, but I'm not a fan of the coated blade. Other than that, I love the looks of it. But the blade itself, let's check the thickness behind the edge. I did cut up some cardboard and stuff, and yet we'll say that didn't scratch it up today. I have cut some paper and some cardboard just to get some initial first impressions of it. But I never measured the thickness behind the edge. I know it did well doing those things, but let's see. Yeah, getting 26 thousandths behind the edge. Again, this is a super hard measurement to get. I got 23 earlier. It's really hard to do. Yeah, see 20 up there. Yeah. Well, I didn't get 23 earlier. Somebody else said 23 on one of their videos, and I think that's probably about right. Probably the average is about 23. So not too bad behind the edge. Very high flat grind. It's a pretty good slicer. It's got a really good tip on it. It's definitely a very good user shaped blade. And M4 is a very good user steel. Holds the edge super well. It is very hard. It is going to be not the funnest thing to sharpen ever, but it's not horrible at all. I've never found it to be particularly chippy or anything, at least when I've been doing it. I've never had to fully put an edge on one, but just as far as touching it up, I've always been able to. Like I said on my Gale Bradley, I use that a lot, and I just make sure to keep it touched up so that it never gets super dull where I have to really put an edge on it, and it's worked out fine. All right, let's do a little paper test. It does have the usual Benchmade kind of, I guess, toothy edge you'd call it. They don't do mirror polish edges, but let's get down here. Yeah. It's very sharp out of the box for absolute sure. As I say that, and then I screwed up. Yeah, it's very sharp out of the box. It's excellent. Again, that usual toothy edge. As far as the ergonomics go, oh, it's comfortable. That was the first thing I noticed. I took it out of the box in the car and I just gripped it and I was like, oh yeah, that's good. The G10 is a bit slick. I wouldn't call it polished. There is a bit of attempt at making some texture here, but it's not amazing. But you're locked in pretty good. That doesn't bother me. I think it's grippy enough. I always have a hard time judging on slick surfaces because my hands don't sweat. And I know people say, oh, your hands don't sweat. That must make them grippier. You don't realize how little my hands sweat. They do not sweat. It makes them slipperier than if they were a little moist. I'd rather have a little bit of a damp hand. Sometimes I'd be able to hold on to stuff better. Try to watch me carry a heavy paper or heavy cardboard box around. I can't get a grip on it without gloves. But yeah, it's super comfortable. The stock pocket clip, no hot spots whatsoever. It's got the little split arrow clip. Or there's another word beginning with P that people call that clip. I'm not going to be juvenile enough to say that. But yeah, it's great. Great in the hand. Super comfortable. Very happy with that. As far as the carry goes, I think I have ye old Wrangler sitting over here. It's the usual, what you expect. It does slide in the pocket very, very easily with that nice G10. As far as getting your hands by it, if you've had a regular Freek or a Griptilian, it's about the same size as that, but easier, I think, to get your hand past it because it's just smoother. You don't have, like on the regular FRN grip, or whatever they call GripTech grip, or no, GripTech's what they call this. I don't remember what they call that FRN on the. I can't keep up with all their little trademark names, but there is a fair amount of jimping up here, so that always kind of rubbed my hand and annoyed me. You don't have that on the Super Freek, so I do very much like that. Action wise, really good. Again, this one had no blade play, no lock rock, and it was like this pretty much out of the box. Again, I bought this used, but the guy who sold it to me bought several of them just to try and get a low serial number, and I said, can I buy the one with the highest serial number? So this has not been carried, not been used or anything, and it's just as it's better than any Benchmade I've gotten out of the box. Honestly, it really is. It's really good. Very happy with that. I was preparing to get it, come home, tear it apart, lube it, and all that stuff. I'm not gonna. It's working fine. I'm gonna put a deep carry clip on it, but other than immediately. But other than that, yeah, I really, really like it so far. First impression. By the way, did not mention before, prices not cheap. $191.25. Pretty expensive knife. But M4 steel is an expensive steel, so I'm not going to call it overpriced. And this G10 is a very multi-layer and cool looking, and I think it's worth the money for the upgrade from the regular Freek, because as I said, I didn't like the grippy stuff on the regular Freek. I know Cutlery Lover just did a video about the Freek's trick feature or something is the thing that makes him hate it. I never watched it, but I'm assuming he was talking about the same thing about the grippy scales. It just felt cheap, and I didn't like it. I like these a lot better. So awesome job. I really do like this so far, first impressions, except the coating. That's always going to bother me. Maybe after I use it more and I see that it holds up, it won't bother me as much. But and I have a couple other coated knives, so I can't say I'm 100% anti-coating, but I just think this knife would look even better with a satin blade. That's just me, though. But yep. And oh, by the way, Benchmade, if you're watching this, do this to the bug out. Do this to the bug out, please, all day long. Do this to the bug out, but don't put a coated blade on it. Just 20 CV and these, put these exact scales in the bug out, and oh, I would love you to tiny little pieces. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Got a little bit of first impression anyway. I kind of rambled a little bit, but I was really excited about this knife, so wanted to get something out there. As I said, by the end of the week, I'll get you a comparison between this and the Hogue RSK, and then probably another week or so, I'll do a full review of this. So expect to see a lot more of the Super Freek on the channel. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Thanks again to the guy who helped me get my hands on one. You know who you are. Have a good one.